Donald Trump just had a few choice words for Jerome Powell. Let's take a look at what Donald Trump said on the same day that Mike Wilson is apparently stepping down as one of the chief investment officers over at Morgan Stanley in that research department. Somewhat surprising to see one of the biggest bears over at Morgan Stanley stepping down from his post. But for now, let's see what happens to Jay Powell under a Trump.
This leads me to the economy, Mr. President, because Jay Powell, the Fed chairman, is talking about a soft landing. Do you believe we will see a soft landing?
Well, I think he's going to do something to probably help the Democrats. I think if he lowers interest rates, but you have the potential of having massive inflation again, because the Middle East could drive up the price of energy. Energy has so much to do with it. And the Middle East, again, the bombs are dropping all over the place, and the ships are starting to get hit and hit hard. If that happens, you're going to have tremendous spikes in the price of oil. And if you do that, you're going to have big inflation. He's not going to be able.
It's worth noting that right now, the opposite has actually been happening. Now, part of that may be because of a slowdown in China. Yes, strikes in the Middle East are occurring. Strikes are also occurring in the Red Sea. Donald Trump is absolutely correct about both of those things. We do have turmoil in the Middle East. We just had another French carrier this morning refuse to transit through the Red Sea. This adds about 30% to shipping time. But throughout all of this drama, oil prices have been relatively stable. I mean, don't get me wrong, they move up and down on the daily basis. But consider this. We've really had an escalation of oil-related tensions, Middle East tensions, tensions around Syria, Iran, Yemen, and other oil-producing nations since about November. What we've actually found is oil prices today are lower than they were around Thanksgiving, where they were around $83 a barrel, and now we're sitting at about 77. So we really haven't seen that yet, nor is it necessarily clear that inflation in commodity prices like oil is definitely going to lead to more consumer price inflation. Michelle Bowman of the Federal Reserve actually just came out and argued that the biggest risk we actually have is that the rebalancing of the labor market slows. We go back to a really tight labor market where everybody's hiring again because everything's booming. And then you end up with a potential revival of services inflation. So not necessarily commodity driven here. Consider the fact that we just had retaliatory strikes on Syria and Iraq. Targets there, especially some of the targets being used as military bases by supporters or fighters for Iran. This all in retaliation for the Tower 22 attack that killed 3 Americans and wounded 34, 12 of them critically. This was an enemy drone. The Wall Street Journal reported that the drone was actually spotted by American troops, but it was unclear whether it was a U.S. or enemy drone, and because of the confusion, the drone ended up striking a living quarters slash barracks area where troops were, and the Biden administration retaliated just today. It did take not the 30th, not the 31st, not the 1st. It did take 4 days to retaliate, but we did get that retaliation on paramilitary forces in different parts of Syria and Iraq. Of course, Iran denied involvement in this. But again, despite us knowing that these strikes were coming, no movement yet in oil prices. So I do have to separate from Trump there a little bit. Oil prices, not the best argument. I think it's more relatable though, right? Because we hear, yes, oil prices will have a big impact on inflation, just like that byline there. Well, of course we think that. It just hasn't been happening. So it's sort of the expectation versus reality issue here.
Able to do anything. But it looks to me like he's trying to lower interest rates for the sake of maybe getting people elected. I don't know.
So you think he's political? He's just going to cut rates to help Biden, you're saying?
I do. I think he's political, yeah.
So, I mean, the Biden team can say, well, if they...
Which is really interesting because the Federal Reserve has really been gearing up for rate cuts here in 2024 for quite a while. There was talk that maybe it would be in March, maybe it'll be May, maybe it'll be June. But yeah, it is going to align with being essentially right before the election. Is part of it, or could the magnitude of these cuts be related to politicalness? Absolutely, 110%. And quite frankly, Donald Trump, I mean, let's be real, Donald Trump saying, I'm going to fire Powell. Powell's going to hear this and it's kind of going to be like, do I want to get fired? Because if If I get fired, somebody else might come in and might do a worse job, ruin the whole reputation I set up. Donald Trump's aggression against Powell here could actually potentially motivate even more cuts.
Things are so bad, how come the stock market's on a roll?
Because they think I'm going to be elected.
That you think the stock market's rallying because people think you're going to be elected?
Yeah. If you take a look at Iowa, if you take a look at New Hampshire, the stock market's been going crazy since then and long before then. When I announced I was running, I took the lead early, and then I beat everybody, including Ron DeSantis. I call him DeSantis now. I took the other names.
Mr. President, back to the economy for a second. Would you reappoint Jay Powell?
No, I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't reappoint him?
No.
Because he missed inflation?
He did miss, but no, I wouldn't be inclined.
Who's your choice for Fed chairman?
I would have a couple of choices. I can't tell you now.
Okay, let me get your take on this central bank digital currency. You've pledged to block a potential central bank digital currency. Is that about surveillance?
Before we hit CBDC, let's just quickly knock this out of the way. The stock market usually does try to price in about 18 months ahead. So is it possible the stock market is in part pricing in a Trump? Yes, but it could also equally be possible the stock market is trying to price in a Democratic government that is more supportive of basically inflationary spending, which is somewhat what's going on right now in terms of supporting manufacturing, chips, green energy, whatever. Who knows? Could be either of them. Right now, it seems like we are clearly on an artificial intelligence roll. Let's see what we've got in terms of CBDC.
Surveillance?
It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. One day you don't have any money in your account. It can be a very dangerous thing. And the other thing that I think is maybe the most dangerous thing out there of anything, because there's no real solution, the AI, as they call it. It is so scary. I saw somebody ripping me off the other day where they had me making a speech about their product. I said, I never endorsed that product. And I'm telling you, you can't even tell the difference. It looks like I'm actually endorsing it.
That's very scary. I
no,
agree.
because
That's
you can get that into wars and you
Yeah.
can get that into other things. Something has to be done about this, and it has to be done fast. And nobody really knows what to do. The technology is so good and it's so powerful that what you say at an interview with you almost doesn't matter anymore. They can change things around and nobody can tell the difference. Even experts can't tell the difference. This is a tremendous problem in terms of security. This is a problem that they better get working on right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, deep fakes, certainly not uncommon. We just saw Taylor Swift searches get banned on X because there were so many deep fakes of Taylor Swift without any clothing on. So, pretty wild time that we're in. But let's be clear. Jerome Powell getting fired. A lot of people are very frustrated about Jerome Powell because they were late on inflation. Way too much money printing. Absolutely true. We had way too much inflation. The question now is the right answer to keep rates high just to not appear political? Maybe. See, Trump, we didn't cut rates. How could we be political? We didn't cut rates. But then, of course, Trump might turn around and say, hey, y'all should have cut rates. Y'all caused joblessness. Although I'll tell you, not after today's jobs report. Man, today's jobs report was a blow up. But look, Donald Trump saying he's not going to reappoint Powell, I think, if anything, is already somewhat predicted by Powell. Remember, Trump almost fired Powell back in 2018. It wasn't even clear if that was possible. The Fed is supposed to be politically independent. So will some politics get incorporated into Powell's decision-making here? Maybe, because you might end up getting the whole Fed getting gutted and replaced by other people. Right as, hopefully, things are supposed to start balancing out again. Who knows, though? Maybe they'll end up losing control over these next few months. Cathie Wood is of the mindset this Fed has already gone way too far and that they should be cutting rates substantially already at this point. Otherwise, they would risk massive inflation. Guess we'll have to see. But when it comes to Donald Trump and Powell are a no-go.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.
Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial advice nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purpose of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services which we may benefit from. I personally operate an actively managed ETF and hold long positions in various securities, potentially including those mentioned in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuers other than House Act, nor am I presently acting as a market maker.